Has anyone ever challenged you to something you are an expert at without them knowing it? If so, how did it turn out for them? You? I sort of did that. I was jokingly challenging my philosophy teacher with a 1-meter ruler, sort of like a sword. He grabbed a pointer and completely disarmed me. Apparently when he was at Oxford he had done fencing, and for quite a while after that. Freaking British classrooms. I was at the gym at work and there's a fit looking older guy running on the treadmill. There's also another guy there wandering around, not really working out, but trying to talk to everyone and offer advice. What is it with guys thinking girls need help in the gym? Haha. Just being a pest in general. He wanders over to the guy running and starts asking him what he's training for. Running guy answers ultra marathon in a few weeks. Annoying guy is impressed, but jokingly and says, will you win? RG. Probably. AG. Oh. Haha. Yeah, you've always got to be positive, right? RG. Well, I've won it for the last 3 years and the closest person to me was 50 minutes behind me, so yeah, I'm pretty positive. I surreptitiously checked out his name on the sign-in register and went back to my desk to Google him. Yep. Multiple records for ultramarathons, 24 hours road and treadmill races, 48 hours treadmill races. So I enter a round robin pool competition in Cairns, Australia. At this point in my life I look, well, a little scraggly. I'm also a bit more than half pissed. And my first match is against this very snazzily dressed bloke with slicked back hair who proceeds to screw his very expensive cue together as I sit on the bar stool nursing a jug of beer with a mate, the itty house cue resting up against the table. This guy has clearly watched The Color of Money a number of times, and arrogance wafts off him like so many dollar bills from an easy mark. Now, I'm not the best pool player in the known universe, but I did get my own pool table as my 10th birthday present, and I played that itty, warped fricker every single day for years. I then spent most of my life from 16-21 playing pool in bars in New Zealand. So, you know, I'm alright. So, anyway, Tom Cruise over here makes eye contact for the first time and I say hello and compliment him on his rather nice cue. He responds by saying, don't worry buddy, I'll go easy on ya. Coin flip, it's my break. I down the rest of my beer and sink 2 off the break and proceed to have a dream run. I'm in that wonderful place between slightly buzzed and rather pissed where everything just feels right, and I'm sinking every shot with perfect weight and spin to bring the white into position for the next shot. 5 down, 6, 7. I'm on the black and Mr. Shark over here with the attitude hasn't had a shot. The shot is actually not that hard. And being one of those perfect moments, I carpe diem by lining it up and then look up at him to lock eye contact as I hit the white, watch the black drop in my peripheral vision, smile and nod. My mate, meanwhile, is pissing himself laughing. Old mate doesn't even shake my hand, walks out of the hall without saying a word. Drank too much beer afterwards and didn't win the comp. Drank too much beer afterwards and didn't win the comp. What a fitting ending. Not an expert, but I was invited to a Christmas party last year. They had a dessert competition. Not very many people knew I'm going to college for culinary arts. Won unanimously. He told me that he wanted a rematch next Christmas. I'm taking my baking class this semester. Good luck, mister. If you crush someone at making dessert, of course they want a rematch. That means they get to eat your dessert again. At the county fair I was on the receiving end of some ill-natured heckling from a couple of farm hands. Real good ole boy types. They were being dong-heads to everybody who signed up for the skid loader rodeo, smack talking anybody with how hot they are and how anybody else is just embarrassing themselves. For whatever reason they especially targeted me with their Lammersource rural Iowa smack talk. It got to the point where the one got on my face. To make a boring story short, I manage an agricultural business. All I do at said business is operate a skid street tractor. I won $10 and made a pair of brothers eat crow. This is the most country thing I've ever read. So country in fact that I honestly have no idea what a skid loader rodeo is. Nothing in that story made sense to me besides the crap talking. Somebody challenged me to play a round of Age of Empires 2, medieval strategy computer game, against him. I used to play that game on a competitive level. So I just proceeded to play at roughly the same snail's pace speed he did. Sometimes attack him with a weak arm used to make it look like I'm struggling to beat him, while in reality 90% of my traps were tucked away hidden in the back of my lands. It was closed off arena map that made it really easy to hide them from him, so I continue to act like I'm struggling and slowly start to give in to his siege attacks, making it look he's actually going to win the game. At one point he asks in a victoriously smug voice, so looks like the game is over, right? To which I reply, looks like it. And before he could say anything else, roughly 100 fully upgraded elite Teutonic knights emerged from my side of the fog of war and proceeded to annihilate everything in their path. His reaction was priceless. It went from complete disbelief, "Where are all those units from?" to denial, "You cheating at," and various other emotions, while I just had a hearty laugh. Me. Everyone knows Age of Empires 2. Why would you specify it's a medieval strategy computer game? Cheeks. Games from 1999. I feel old now. Great game though. I still play it from time to time with my friends. I had an athletic scholarship in college. I swam. But after college, I went to graduate school, biochemistry, and proceeded to lose the swimmer physique. However, you don't lose technique. So, the wife and in-laws and I are at a resort in Puerto Rico one day and I swam across the pool to meet them, and some guys started talking up their friend to go challenge me to a race. The dude came over, he was ripped, all eye candy, and challenged me to a race across the pool and back, and the loser had to buy the other group a round of drinks. There were about 8 of them and 4 of us. It was about 30 yards or so nearly a 50-meter freestyle, and I was a sprinter. In college I had a high 23 seconds time in the event. So, I agree, and watch him swim and touch the other side. That's when I turned that Mythifrica on, and underwater kick to a flip turn and then burst out beast mode on the return. I hit the wall when he was a little over halfway back. Needless to say, he bought us all a round of beers, and we actually ended up seeing them several times over the next week. He was a really cool dude, but was obviously really embarrassed. Now that I think about it, I hope either he or one of his friends are a Redditor and see this. In the Marine Corps they do a lot of wrestling, grappling as training and exercise. Well, for a Marine I was a pretty unimposing looking person. Little did they know that I had been doing Jiu-Jitsu, a form of grappling, for about 4 or 5 years before joining. So more than a few times I would have these big weightlifter, meathead types challenge me to grappling only for me to wipe the floor with them. It kind of became a joke once people caught on, and when we would get new guys to the unit, the guys in the know would trick them into grappling against me. I was pretty good at Gears of War. Gears of War 2 comes out and a kid at school was having a tourney at his house the weekend after the game released and my buddy invited me over. The kid was talking so much shit the whole time, but mostly to me. Guess he didn't like me. I finally have had enough and said the typical 1v1 me bro, and we get to it. Execution mode on river, my best map. I was asked to leave his house by his dad after I won, because I made his 16-year-old rage and put a hole into their wall. Dad should have asked his son to leave and adopted you. I occasionally encounter anti-nuclear folks to try to converse with me about how nuclear energy is the worst thing that has ever happened to the world. What they don't know is that I have a master's degree in nuclear engineering. When I tell them, and then tell them that coal power releases more radiation into the atmosphere than nuclear, they tell me that I am biased and walk away. A friend of mine once said, if nuclear power is a disaster waiting to happen, coal power is an ongoing disaster. Nerd moment. Someone once challenged my general knowledge of Batman and they were sorely mistaken. Was drinking with friends at a nightclub known for getting rowdy at times. Some guy and I bumped into each other. No one's fault, just the sort of it that happens in a crowded and dark room. We both spill a few sips of our drinks. I'm just about ready to say no big deal and forget the entire event, but he flips off. Tells me I owe him another drink. No, I don't. He starts swearing at me, telling me I need to buy him another freaking drink or he will just take all of my money and buy it himself. Typical story from anyone who's dealt with a dipit drunk in a bar looking for a fight. I work security in a hospital. A big hospital with a busy ER and a psych unit. We get in fights almost every other day. At least once a month, if not more, we get into a really good fight. I'm talking fighting some giant juicer monkey on methamphetamines who's fighting like his life is on the line. We get 1 week, 40 hours of fairly intense self-defense training per year, counter-strikes and takedowns mostly. So, this guy doesn't scare me. I tell him one last time to drop it and try to walk past him. He puts one hand on my chest and tries to grab for my wallet, probably assuming I'd pussy out and let him take it. I grabbed his hand, talked it around, jammed it up his back pretty hard, and gave him as hard a shove as I could in a crowded little room. Must have hurt his shoulder pretty good, but no actual damage would have been done. He stumbled a few steps away, and then slunk off without looking around. I used to work hospital security. Some of my co-workers, who used to work in jails, regularly commented on how much more violent it was. A big, busy, urban hospital is a freaking chow.